I am not your regular host and moderator, Wade Finnegan. That's because he's actually at school today. Ha! And Liam's recovering, and Xavier is also sick as well. So it's me, Erica Conroy, and Chris Shawn here, a lovely guest co-host. Um,
Hello.
Hi, and what we're doing today is this is actually a pre-recorded session. We're going to be interviewing the New York Times and USA Today best-selling author Mina Carter. Welcome, Mina.
Hi there. Thank you for having me.
No worries. And I just wanted to say that Mina is the reason that I got into writing ebooks in the first place. It actually took a year for me to actually do anything about it. But yeah, that's the reason why I'm here. So we wanted to get Mina on today to share her story of self-publishing. So, Mina, how did it all start for you?
Oh, that's a very, very long story. I've written basically since I was about 11. I'm actually dyslexic, so I learnt to read and write very, very late. And my aunt bought me a copy of Lord of the Rings when I was 11 years old. I started it one Christmas and basically didn't put it down until I'd finished it. And after that, I was hooked on storytelling. Just the idea that you could create, or there were all these worlds within books. And I think I must have read the entire school library over that term, and got on first name terms with the school librarian, and was just fascinated. So then from that point I started to, as you do, you know what I mean, if you're a writer, you jot notes down, you start changing the ends of stories that you didn't like to what you want them to be, and then eventually started into writing my own characters. Did that for 20-ish years, and then actually finishing a story seemed a long way off, because you look at books and they're these huge tomes. If you're writing 60,000 words, is a huge amount of wordage. And then Nocturne Bites started up. Harlequin, we call them Mills and Boons. They started an ebook line, 15,000 words. I thought, I can just about see myself doing that. So I sat down at that point, and it was like pulling teeth. But I got those 15,000 words down, sent it off, didn't hear a thing for a year.
Oh,
Wow.
By that point, I'd actually got the book. I'd done a couple more 15,000 words, and I'd sold them to a little publisher called, I think it was Blade Publishing. They've long since gone. But yeah, I'd got 2 or 3 books out by the time that Harlequin, Mills and Boons actually did reject me. But it didn't matter at that point. I was already well on my way to being a digital first, I think they call us, published author. And it went from there. I worked my way up from the smaller publishers up to the larger digital publishers, and then eventually went indie. And that's pretty much where I am now.
So at what point did you decide that, well, I'm doing traditional, this is going well, to indie? What was that spark?
That was... Sorry, I lost that last bit there.
Oh, that was, what was the spark that made that change?
Because I'm impatient. And traditional publishing tends to be, you write the book, you send it off, you sit there clicking refresh on your inbox, waiting for the answer, drive yourself mad with that. And then you actually get, if you're lucky, you get the acceptance, you go through the contract, and then you wait, and you wait a bit more. Then you might get some edits, and you're talking maybe 6 months to a year before the book actually hits the shelves. And like I say, I got too impatient, thought, I'm going to write it, I'm going to find an editor, and I'm going to get it out as quick as possible. Which is basically what I do now. And I drive my editor mad, I'm sure. Because I am very, very lastminute.com with it all.
Oh, no.
Oh,
I see here that you've written over 100 ebooks, and I'm familiar with a few of them, being a part of the Austin Romance Writers. You have a fan base here in Austin, let me just tell you that. And yes, you are worldwide. And most of those full novels, give us the range of your catalog here.
Oh my goodness. It's
Just
about.
enough.
I generally write paranormal romance, although I do tend to dip into sci-fi primarily. And then I will dip into contemporary romance, particularly rugby, because I am a huge rugby fan.
All black,
Mm.
yeah, yeah.
And I cannot resist writing about them. But I've only got four, I think, rugby books. Other than that, I tend to go from your normal shifter type paranormal romance right through to the biggest series I've got is, let me get this right because it's a mashup of everything. It's paranormal, shapeshifter, military conspiracy theory.
Oh, yep.
So that's the biggie. That's the Project Rebellion one.
That sounds like my first marriage.
I'm sorry, I didn't catch that.
I said it sounds like my first marriage.
Complex then.
Very. Go ahead, I was interrupting.
And then I'll just nip into things that I fancy. If I want to play with an idea, I've got the Paranormal Protection Agency series, which is basically bodyguards and things like that, but they're all paranormals, shapeshifters, gargoyles, there's a demon in there. So if I want to play with something weird and wonderful, that's the perfect base to go from.
Nice.
And I have just started a new series, actually, Werebears, and they're ex-military, looking for mate type werebears.
It's totally hot at the moment.
Werebears are, yes, very, very. I've noticed a lot of werebears, so I thought I'd give them a go, and it was a lot of fun to write actually, because I don't really play with the werebears that much. It's more werewolves or weirder things, or were-dragons, gargoyles, that kind of thing. So
And
it was fun to play.
We're hedgehogs.
Oh my
yes.
goodness.
I thought the were-hedgehog would come up. That was absolutely amazing to write. With Celia and I sat down, because obviously at that point there was just werewolves, and we thought, what can we do that's just completely out there? So we came up with the idea of a real bad boy biker, the whole lot, the leather, the hair, the tattoos, the lot. We thought, what can we make him that's just completely unexpected? And he ended up as a pygmy hedgehog.
Oh.
Not even a big hedgehog, he's a pygmy hedgehog.
The ones that fit in the palm of your hand. They're so cute and roll up when you speak.
That's the one, yes. We thought, what can we do to him to actually, just torture him so much? And the lady that he likes actually rescues hedgehogs. So we had this wonderful situation where he's trying to collect her for a date, but he's got to be back in the pen at the back of the house, and he's running around trying to shift half naked. It gets very, very complicated. But there is a wonderful scene in that, all about bladder control, but I'll leave that to your imagination.
Oh, wow.
You have to read that one. That's not as bad as it sounds.
It sounds amazing.
It was a fun one to write, and we did get some comments on it, yes, a lot.
So is it safe to say that your entire catalog are full novels, or are there novellas in there, or short stories?
I do everything from short stories right the way up to full novels.
Nice.
Tend to ring the changes. I don't tend to like to write two full novels back to back, so I'll write a longer piece and then I'll write two shorter pieces and then go back to a longer piece, just to vary it and to give me a change of pace kind of thing. Okay. I'll also switch up between paranormal and science fiction for that reason as well. So like to clear the palette almost.
Right. Absolutely, is to get your gears working again. We have a question from the audience about, since you have such a large catalog, right? I mean, this is 100 books. This is more than most people have in their own homes. How do you?
Certainly more than I've got in here at the moment. I've got about 5.
That's a lot of mail when you're talking about your email list.
Yes.
Okay, so how do you handle that? How do you handle emailing with trying to promote that many books in a catalog without drowning folks in Mina mail?
It can be a very, very difficult balance to strike, because obviously you don't want to be buy my book all the time.
Right.
I'm very lucky that my brother is actually a promotion specialist, so he helps
Oh.
me out an awful lot on Facebook with just keeping my name out there. What I also try and do is, rather than just buy all the time, I'll create little quote graphics. So there'll be a little snippet, a favourite line out of the book on something that we can post. So there's something there rather than just a buy link. What I'll try to do is also vary what book's going out on promotion that week. So it's not all the same book. Obviously, if I've got a new book coming out, then it does tend to skew more in that favour. And then I try and chat with people a lot, as Erica will attest to. I talk an awful lot, and I try and do that just with readers that contact me. A lot of them seem surprised that I'll actually will sit down and talk, but I'm just a person like everybody else. So I like those connections. I like to hear what people think. I like to get to know people.
Right.
As long as they're not too crazy.
Right.
As long as they're not too crazy.
Well, crazy is as crazy does kind of thing. I'm pretty mad myself, so I think I might scare some off.
Right. But you haven't run into anybody that you couldn't handle, correct?
Not so far, no.
Okay, that's a very, very good thing. How do you, one thing that's really big is the secondary emails when you're talking about your book. I know you said that you use snippets and everything, but when you're talking about an email for a book the second or the third time, either refreshing interest in it or promoting the series, do you find that gets the same click rate or a good one?
It depends what kind of thing you put in your email. I like to start off with basically an introduction to the book. You know, I've just written this, give them the blurb, give them the cover, because I tend to keep things quite close to my chest. So often the cover doesn't get a cover reveal, it goes out straight away. So that's the first time they're going to be seeing that. Second time round, I might include some graphics, some quote graphics, as I was talking about before. Recently, I've started to do more longer excerpts, so they're getting something extra from that. Giveaways are always good. I include those into the emails. But generally, after about 3, I find that the click rate does tend to drop off at that point.
Okay, that's reasonable.
I
Now,
think they're fed up of hearing from me at that point.
So like, next book, I've read it, next book.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. The readers are surprisingly fast. I generally get about a day's grace before they want the next story.
oh, you just got the first one. Calm down.
Yes. I tend to try not to say that to them, though, because I like them talking to me.
Yes, you do. Absolutely. The way that I was introduced to you was through your covers. Yes, you have some gorgeous, gorgeous colors. The covers.
Thank you very much.
And
Gorgeous men.
Oh, yes, that too. That helps. And anybody who wants to look at her covers, we're going to have some links in the notes, so you'll be able to see how gorgeous they are. How did you get from writing all of these for the Emperor from Harlequin to doing the covers? Because that's what I really want to know about.
I've always been a very visual person, and before I was a writer, I used to online game, and I used to create graphics for those online games. So I was always very, very familiar with Photoshop.
Okay, Mina, I'm going to stop you right there. What online game? Because I'm a gamer.
I'm a Trekkie.
Oh, yeah.
I'm a die-hard Trekkie, I'm afraid.
No, never apologize for that.
This is how I met Mina originally.
Star Trek Online?
No, actually, it's a bit more
before
geekier than that. It's collaboratively written role play for Star Trek.
Nice.
So you create your own character, and you write that character interacting with other characters that other people have created. So that was initially how me and Mina first met. We wrote together.
Oh, nice. Okay, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but so you started making avatars and covers and illustrations and banners and SIGs for your comprehensive and cooperative play, right?
I did, yes.
Okay.
And then when I transferred over, well, I wouldn't say transferred over, I was writing both sides, and noticed at the time that some of the covers weren't as professional or weren't quite what I wanted. There was a lot of poser covers at the time. I'm not I'm not very, very fond of CGI covers, and basically I said I can do better to the publishing house that I was with. They said, go on, give it a go. I didn't get paid for it, but I wanted what I wanted for my cover. Did a couple of covers. They asked me to do covers for other authors, and by that time I'd got a little portfolio together, so I approached, same as I did with my writing, I approached the same publishers saying I can also do cover art, and it went from there. And it kind of went a bit mad with the covers.
Went a bit mad. How many have you done so far?
Cover-wise, it must be over a couple of thousand.
My word.
But I don't tend to post all of them online because it's kind of overwhelming.
Well, yes.
So that's like your secondary income stream at the moment, or?
Not so much now. It was a very important income stream earlier on in my writing, but I joke and say I'm kind of retired now from cover art. I only work for a small group now, and I primarily do my own covers. But I've gone more now into the photography side of things to get truly unique images and covers now. So I've kind of evolved, shall we say.
So you now take photos of those hot guys that you then include in your covers.
Not all of them are my shots. I tend to shop around on the stock sites. I know a fair few photographers, so a lot of pretty things on my desktop on a daily basis, which is quite nice.
All right then. One of the other questions, one of the really big points about is that you are USA Today and a New York Times bestseller.
Mm-hmm.
And not to downgrade one or lift up the other, but the New York Times is really impressive because, as many people may know, it's a curated list. That is to say, you can sell a lot, but if they don't like you, you don't get on. So.
That's it, yes.
Yeah. So, what do you think contributed to that? Was it that you just had so many rabid fans, or tell us a little bit about that?
It was actually as part of a bundle. We did an awful lot of promotion for that. We had a good cover. It was a unique cover. It was an image that I'd shot of a model friend of mine, Joel Hicks.
Mm-hmm.
And basically it was just, I think, completely different image-wise to anything else that was out at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, a hell of a lot of legwork, a hell of a lot of promotion. We were everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's probably what got attention. There was about, I think, 15 to 20 authors in that. So
wow.
All of them promoting, really, really pushing it. And we all worked well together as a team for that. And I think that's what tipped the balance, shall we say.
Yes.
It was surprising. We didn't expect New York Times at all. We were more angling for USA Today and working towards that one. And then somebody just posted in the group, "Oh, we hit New York Times." And then everybody lost it a little bit and went and had a party. So yeah, it was a total surprise, a very, very welcome surprise, but it was a total surprise.
Oh, that's great. That's really good. No, I'm sorry. I'm just trying to imagine you sitting there, you're working. We got US Today, then we got the big one. That
was pretty much how the conversation went at that point, and then there was lots of squealing and and yeah, it got a bit silly.
What was the bundle for? What kind of romance stories were in that one?
It was everything. It was the Wicked After Dark bundle, and it was just a short time thing that we all got together to do. And the brief was, I think, just anything supernaturally. Obviously, Wicked After Dark.
Right.
Very wide then.
Sorry, I lost that bit there.
Oh, I'm just saying it was very wide then, the brief. Nothing.
Yes. Yes.
Because a lot of bundles these days very, very specific about what.
Yeah, I've seen a couple and been involved cover-wise and stuff with bundles that seem very, very narrow. But if that works, that works. I mean, I think you've got to try everything out there one angle may work one month, it might not work the next month. Who knows? Obviously, there's some fairies there in the New York Times list that make decisions that we're not always privy to. So it works to maximise your opportunities, shall I say.
Yeah.
So did you see that point, hitting the USA Today and the New York Times, did you see that as your big breakout point? Or if not, when do you think it was?
It's kind of hard to say because I kind of keep my head...
Go ahead.
I lost you there, I think.
No, that's fine.
I'm not really in... I think we've got a lag here, haven't we, because of all the time zones.
Just a little bit.
I'm not really sure whether there was so much a break point as just a steady movement. You always look at it, or I have been looking at it over the years thinking something's going to break soon, something's going to click soon. But there's just really been a steady increase all the time, rather than a defined point. I didn't really notice that much of a difference after hitting the USA Today. New York Times was amazing, but it's not really affected the forward momentum much. There's not really been that much of a big jump there, which would have been nice if it happened, but I'm quite happy with the forward momentum that I've achieved so far.
Okay.
I wouldn't swap it, put it that way.
Okay. What do you attribute to that for your forward progress? If you had to say, this is the reason why, well, this is what I've done, that this is the reason why I am as successful as I am today.
I don't stop. I'm very stubborn. I tend to plan rather a lot. So each book is planned out. Each book has a prescribed length of time. I get my backside into the chair every single day and write. It might not be a good idea. So there's two schools of thought between that. Do you write every day, even if you write terribly, or do you take a day off and not write? I try and get myself and write something every single day. I might delete it, but it's the discipline, the routine, rather than the output sometimes, I think. They say you take 21 days to build a habit. And I don't want to get out of the habit of writing. I don't think I ever will, but it's part of my persona almost to keep that routine. And that's what I think it is. It's not giving up. It's carrying on. I've had some setbacks, but you pick yourself up and you get back in the chair or back on the horse, whatever analogy you want to use, and you just get on with it.
Yes. I get back on the horse and type every day. I'm one of those, you write every day, you put into work every single day, because I'm lazy.
You've got to keep routine.
Yes, I am the typical American. You give me a day off, and all of a sudden, I'm stuffing my face with McDonald's and watching Netflix. So no, doing this every single day. I am in that same camp.
I believe I should be doing it every single day, but in practice, I don't.
I'm not always of the opinion you should write on your work in progress every day. Sometimes you do need days to just goof off and do stuff. And at that point, I will write collaboratively with other authors, just something to mess about. But it is still writing. But for me, that's fun, so it works.
What is the standard turnaround on your work? Because you're working every day, that has to be pretty fast, I would imagine.
I generally, at my minimum output, like to put 1,000 words down on something a day. Day in, day out. On my best days, I can be up to 3,000 to 4,000. My absolute best ever day was 10,000.
Nice.
But that was 12 hours, and that was an amazing. I was dead, literally mentally dead at that point. But the story was just in my head, and it was like watching a movie. The words were there, and I thought, I am not stopping for anything. Such a rare thing to get that I just sat there. And my backside went to sleep at one point.
Okay. I was just looking over a couple of other things. Why don't you, Erica, do you have any questions while I'm looking through my notes?
Okay, fair enough. So when you first started out, you were obviously working at the same time, and you have a child. So how did
Yes.
you manage to fit in your writing around that?
I got up early, very, very early. I worked for a very long time in logistics, so I'm used to getting up from 3 to 4 a.m. And I just carried on that habit, even though I was no longer working in logistics. I used that time when everybody was asleep, 2, 3 hours, to get a large chunk of word count down before then dealing with my daughter and then going to work. And everything else that the day entailed. And then after all that was finished and she was in bed, then I'd sit back down, edit, promote, do that kind of thing. But I liked that early morning slot because my brain is the best when I've just woken up. So that's how I got around it. I don't sleep much. I still don't sleep much.
So what's your day look like now? Because you went full time when?
About 4 years ago, I think now.
So how has your day changed now that you don't have to worry about that evil day job anymore?
Kind of promotion and admin has taken over as the new evil day job, I must admit, because I was having so many books, trying to promote everything, keep the website up and running and that kind of thing. Generally, if I'm pushed and I need to get a book out, then I will go back to getting up at 5 a.m. Don't do it so much now, don't need to so much, obviously, because I've got the whole day. A general day, I will get up, drink a bucket of coffee, because I can't cope without coffee. Then I will get my daughter off to school. 3, 4 days a week, I will go to the gym because working out helps me clear my mind. I tend to then think what I'm going to write for the rest of the day. I get home, obviously shower, whatnot, in front of the PC. Then quite a lot now I will dictate if the house is empty. Can't dictate if somebody's around me, and I'm sure the postman, because I have my window open, he thinks I'm a pervert because occasionally he gets bits of dialogue and things like that. So, but I will work then until about 3 o'clock. Then I'll go and fetch my daughter, do the general householdy dinner type things, and then back online about 7 o'clock, and then it's promotion, admin, that kind of thing. So it's a pretty full day.
Now you said promotion. I've heard that you've never had a BookBub promotion at all. Is this correct?
I haven't, no. I've tried, but I don't think they like me very much.
Oh.
I don't know why.
No,
Why not?
I have tried. I've tried a BookBub several times, but I've never managed to catch one. I understand that they do tremendously well, and I'd really like one. So fingers crossed, maybe sometime soon I'll manage to land one.
But even without BookBub, you've had a lot of success. Other than the Facebook ads and your email list, what other promotions have you tried, and what has worked for you?
Twitter tends to work. I tend to take favourite lines. Like I said, I make the little graphic quotes. I put them on Twitter. Pinterest, I tried. Didn't really understand it. It didn't seem to work for me. But I like looking at the pretty pictures, and I can easily lose a couple of hours in there. It's just basically being online, I think. Building relationships with readers, building that mailing list. Building a presence. My Facebook page isn't brilliant. I didn't really understand how to connect that with the Facebook, crowd.
Right.
But I think a combination of all of it, and plus just being around and chatting a lot helped. I post a lot of lolcats as well. I don't know whether that helps.
No,
that always helps.
Lolcats always helps. Yes. Yes, absolutely. I love the lolcats and Pinterest. If I go and put in the search for cover art, you have lost me for the rest of the day.
I like looking through all that as well. Yeah, I like seeing what the trends are. What people are doing now. And if I look on photography, then I'm gone.
Oh my goodness. Yes. Just in general, or even just one specific thing, because I look up pulp art because that's what I grew up reading, Um, and my brain farted. I'm sorry. Louis L'Amour and the Edge books and Quiller and all of those things, and you are or Tarzan and all those covers. Somebody somewhere has a picture of those covers, and they're on Pinterest. And for me, it's like a sort of Pokemon. I gotta catch them all. And so I'm going and trying to collect all those. Gone for an hour. Pinterest got me. Oh, it's got me bad.
It gets you. It pulls you in.
Yes, it absolutely does. Absolutely pulls you in. Um, why don't we take a little bit of time to talk about your creating and sustaining your writing life, because that's the one thing that I am passionate about, almost to the point of being obsessed. Because no, really, I am. Because a lot of people, when they start going into writing, or they think about becoming a writer, they think about the long quill and just having time to spare. And what they don't realize is that even more so in indie, that this is a retail business. And you do have to take care of yourself. You have to take care of yourself physically and mentally and emotionally. And did this come to you naturally, or did you run up in something and you're like, whoa, I've got to take care of myself? And if so, what was that point?
Probably earlier this year. I'm almost an obsessive person. So once I make my mind up on something, I will chase it to the nth degree. And I was literally burning myself out by writing and turning stories around. Imagination has never been a problem for me. My family tend to joke that if you leave me alone with any bit of paper, come back 20 minutes later, I'll have not only a book plot, but a plan to dominate the world.
Yes.
Because I'm there. But doing that all the time, I wasn't moving much from the desk. I have a problem with my right knee. The patella doesn't track correctly. So sitting, my knee would lock up. And basically, I just wasn't taking care of myself physically, which was then having a knock-on effect mentally.
Right.
Finding I couldn't concentrate as much, headaches, which is basically why then I work out a lot now. And I find, because I'm taking care of myself on that level physically, it's actually spurred me on with the writing. Ideas flow more easily, the words are there, the description's there, so that helps an awful lot. I also make sure that I sit down at nights, sit with my husband. My husband's a great film buff, and we have a very, very similar taste, so we watch every single sci-fi series that's out there, and we binge watch as well. We've just recently finished Falling Skies, and I think we finished that in record time. Absolutely adore that. And yeah, it's just brain out time. It's time to recharge the batteries and not just writing your own words all the time and not being in your own world all the time. You need that interaction, that mental break.
Right.
And I think sometimes when you get so focused on something, it's hard to take that step away and realise that you need to take care of yourself. And particularly with the indie world, because you need to get that book out, you need to release and release and release and release. You can get obsessed with it, and you can get obsessed with watching figures and ranks and stats. So yes, that's how I cope with it. I work out and I binge watch TV shows and films.
Oh, he's a film buff. What do you think is his, like, the perfect sci-fi movie, or just the perfect movie?
For my husband, it would be anything to do with Jack the Ripper. He absolutely loves that, the storyline, the mystery. If you could cross Sherlock Holmes with Jack the Ripper, probably with Star Trek, then that would be the ultimate. Something like that.
Oh man, I can see it now. Picard and Riker dress up as go into holodeck, and they go
Yeah.
to Victorian London, and they see a body, and then they run and bump into Sherlock Holmes and Watson, and hilarity ensues, and lots of blood.
Yes.
Oh,
Yes. Definitely. It's to the point that I have actually spoken about writing a Jack the Ripper storyline, and I have the absolute best research assistant ever if I was going to do that, because he would just nitpick every little detail until it was perfect.
oh my. Oh,
So I
you need to get on
probably
that.
will end up doing that one day.
I'm surprised you haven't done that already.
Because I have the perfect research assistant.
Right. Okay, what about the perfect movie for you?
I probably wouldn't get to actually writing it until the plot was perfect.
All right. I'm sorry, I'm trying not to giggle and snort into the microphone.
Yeah, I'll go for it. Who
Oh,
cares?
okay.
Just us girls.
Sorry. Right then. Um, so that was all the questions that I have for right now.
What are your plans for next year? Probably
To write
question
more.
8. You write more.
To write more. I have a couple of series that I'm actively working on. I'm hoping the Werebears tend to hit quite well. I've got more Project Rebellion. I've got the two sides of the Project Rebellion. There's the original werewolves and vampires, and then there's the zombies, who prefer to be called reanimates. So I've got their sub-story to write. Paranormal Protection Agency, some more of that, and then I have some secret projects that I'm not allowed to tell anybody at the moment, but will be
Ooh.
absolutely awesome, that I'm looking forward to writing. But as they involve other people, I can't divulge anything just yet.
No, that's fine. That's fine. That's fine. You just got us all tingly and excited. Now I'm just waiting. Oh, I forgot to ask you this. Tell us about your experience doing audiobooks. So I noticed you have a couple of them. Like, how is that?
Yeah.
How is that process for you, working with writers and producers, and sorry, not writers, but voice actors and the producers, or how are you doing that?
It's a different process. It's a
Oh
lot
yeah.
of fun to actually hear your words. Somebody's actually speaking them is a bit odd at first. I think it's the Reaper ones that I've got at the moment, and
Right.
it was fun. Literally, after you get over that almost cringe-worthy thing of hearing, no writers, in my experience, like to hear their words back at them, because you look and
I
you
hate
think,
that.
oh God, I wish I'd changed that, and oh no, I wrote that wrong. But once you get over that and you actually get into the flow of the story, it's brilliant. It's really nice. And
How
the
did
lady
you
that does the Reaper ones is fantastic.
How did you get over that cringe? Because I can't even have Mac voice to text the voice, read it back to me. I'm like, how did you get through that enough to be able to have a real life flesh and blood person read that?
It's a point you touched on earlier about writing being a business.
Mhm.
And that's something that I often speak to new authors about. At first, you get very, very, very attached to your words. It's your baby.
Mhm.
It's any creative thing is your baby. But as you get more experienced at writing, you have to make that step from, yes, it's your baby, and then it's a product.
Right.
You have to see it as a product that needs to be packaged and promoted. And once you can make that mental leap from baby to product, then it becomes a lot easier to hear it back. One of the things I like to do to disassociate is I won't touch the work for a week or so. I let it clear out. I read other things or I work on other projects, and then I will do a in Word. You can get it to read it back to you.
Yes.
And I will listen to it, and I'm listening because of the dyslexia, I have a habit of putting words that are correctly spelt, but they're the wrong word for the sentence.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm listening for things like that, and as well, I can then look at it with a neutral eye, or neutral ear even, and listen to it like that. And I've forgotten what the original question was. Sorry.
No, it was just about
Too busy
the process.
talking there.
No, that's fine. Just the process of it. Because how did you? Well, sorry. The last question I asked was how did you get over the cringe, and then just
That's it.
how was that process? Because at what point? Sorry. At what point did you decide? Well, I'm going to go into audiobooks, and then kind of walk us through for those of us who are thinking about doing that. Um,
Um, I think it was more, I was involved, I did audio covers for a company. I'm not even sure if they're still going, called Audiolark. Because you
mhm.
couldn't, I'm in the UK, and you couldn't go through ACX at
ACX,
that
right?
point. You had to be US to do that. So I did, I think it was the Kin series that I've got, the vampire, very old vampire series, and they did that. But then when they opened up ACX, I thought I'm going to give it a go. I like new things. Um,
Yeah.
so I registered, got a bit confused as to what you did. How do you get a narrator? But you do a small audition. So say 1,000 word, I think it's 1,000 word snippet of your book.
Mhm.
I scour through my books for the best scene. So like a chocolate bar scene, I call them, which is
Yes.
like got good dialogue, it's snappy, it's action based, or something that you really want to hear,
Right.
and then put that out for your narrators to audition to.
Mhm.
You upload that through the ACX system, and then if narrators like the look of it, they will record that snippet, and then you listen, and you pick the narrator that you feel is the best fit for your book.
Right. So
Um,
what? So what did you like about the narrator here? Because that's it's very luscious. I guess. Can I use that word talking about talking
mm,
about narrators?
I think so. I think so. Yeah. It was the sense of fun, particularly with the Reaper series. The main character Lainey she's a very complex character, and don't want to give too much away because there's a huge twist at the end as
Oh, okay.
to her character. She's not all that she appears to be, but she
Mhm.
is very upfront, ballsy, take no prisoners, and the voice just fit.
Right.
It wasn't. I'll be honest. It wasn't initially what I'd thought, because she was written very much from almost a Brit speak basis, because we speak very quickly. We're very clipped,
Hmm.
um, and then to have a more American voice, I had to like hang back a little bit and think, does that work? It doesn't fit my preconception of the character, but then it really worked for me.
Right.
And she has got, like you say, such a luscious voice. So
Yes, she does. I listened to one of the samples. I
it
was
did.
like, yeah, it's she's got a chocolate bar voice.
Yeah, she has.
And so, and so she wasn't your initial one, but once again, it's kind of like separating. This is separating your baby from your product. It just kind of
That's it.
worked. Hmm.
Yeah, she wasn't. She was the initial narrator that I picked, but she wasn't my initial preconception as how it would be, if that makes sense.
Mm.
Yeah, it does. Because you have a voice in
So
your head, the voice that talks to you while you're
that's
writing
it.
down the dialogue and doing the narration. There's a certain voice you hear, and then I just imagine you start hearing these tapes back, and you're like, "Oh, I thought it was my voice. It's actually this one, right?"
Mm.
Yes. Yeah, very much so.
Oh, good. Oh, that's absolutely delightful. No, I'm really excited about hearing about this because these are little things that you don't really think about when you're going into this. It's always the little things. The indie publishing seems to be an industry of the details.
Yes.
Yeah. So with that in
Yeah.
mind,
Yeah.
and we have about
There's a lot. Sorry, I've lost you there.
oh, that's okay. I was just going to ask, with all of that in mind, if you could go back, if you could go back to 2010 and talk to Mina then, or talk to any of us out here, or the folks who are listening wanting to get into this, what would you tell them to do? What's your advice to us, those who are doing the work but not quite where you are?
Get out there as much as possible. Backlist all the time. Backlist is definitely king.
Mhm.
My advice to new authors, if you're building a backlist, is don't neglect the short story form.
Mm,
It's hard to do, and it's
It's hard to do, and
Fortunate that mine have been well received. It's hard to actually get what you need. It's really, really tightly for short story to get all the characterization, all the action, without leaving the reader feeling wanting or like they've been cheated. But if you can do it, you can build a backlist quite quickly. I would definitely, for new authors, if they're looking to build that range of work, to say short stories and novellas, learn your craft, learn to write tightly, and then graduate on to longer works. I mean, others might advocate doing it a different way, but that's just my opinion. That's the way I did it, and I would say it's got to be worth a go.
right, absolutely. Considering your success and the size of your catalog, oh yeah, your words have weight. Yeah, they absolutely do. And what advice would you give to us about mindset, about getting your head in the game?
Think of it as a business. I have some pet peeves about other authors. That's a nasty thing to say. It's not. It's when people come to me and say they want to write and they want to be successful, but they're waiting for the muse.
Oh, don't get me started. Do not get me started about I'm waiting for inspiration or I'm waiting for the book to come. It's like, no, Peaches, you sit down the same time every day and they know where to find. Oh my God. Okay, I'm going to stop talking because you are yes, that's a big one.
I think I've hit a nerve there. Yeah, that's the one that gets me. It's like, if you find inspiration, you sit down, you focus, it's a business at the end of the day. Yes, it's a business that is incredibly enjoyable. You're doing something that you love. If you don't love writing, then I don't necessarily understand why somebody that doesn't love writing would be a writer.
Right.
So if you love what you do, it's not a job, but you've got to make it a business. I think that's the way to say it. It's a calling that needs to be a business.
Yes.
I think that makes sense.
Yeah, well, it does. It does. But
educate yourself about. Sorry?
No, you keep going.
Sorry, I talked over you there. I would advise anybody that, as long with the writing and learning as much as you can about writing, about story structure, not necessarily editing. I am the world's worst editor, which is why I have a lovely lady who I bug continuously. Educate yourself about social media, about marketing, about mailing lists, about all that businessy, admin-y side of things, and take control that way. That would be my big tip.
This is a business question, but you write, obviously you've got some standalones, but you mostly write in series. Is there any reason why you would stop writing a series? Probably coming at it from a business point.
If the sales didn't support it, so if you wrote something quite obscure that wasn't hitting the sales, then to me it's not economically viable to continue that series, or certainly it wouldn't be economically viable to put a more viable project ahead of that. So I would then space those stories out, maybe make them novellas and drop them in between other more profitable works. If I really, really, really had to continue the series and wanted to, which often happens with me, the characters get in there and I have to write them. But then I would space them out and even out the losses, if that makes sense.
Yes.
Yeah, compromise between the business side of it and your creative side.
That's it, yes. You have to be creative. Sometimes you just have to say, sod it, I am going to write this one. I need this one out of my head. Right. But you also have to be sensible about it and think about the royalty checks at the end of the month. Unfortunately, that's the way the world works.
Right. Yes, the world doesn't, your light bill does not get paid on this needs to be written.
No, it doesn't, unfortunately.
All right, then. We're getting close to the end of our time. Is there anything else that you just want to impart to us before we let you go?
Just that for newer authors or authors that are struggling, just remember that we're all in this together.
Yes.
Often authors, I don't mind telling anybody how I've achieved what I've achieved. Might not make sense all the time, as you've realised I tend to ramble on a lot, but most of us, if you ask us a question or if you ask for advice, if we can help you, we will do. And if we know somebody that might be able to help you better, then we'll pass on information and try and do anything that we can. Basically, help, ask for help. Don't be scared of us.
Right.
You know, anybody that you think is bigger, and I'm saying that with little air quotes there. Most of us just want to talk. We're happy to talk. We're happy to help. Just remember that. That's all.
Anything else?
Oh, I was just going to ask if you wanted to take this opportunity to pimp your new next upcoming release or anything like that.
Yes, I'd love to. My next one is my Sexy Werebear story, and as usual with mine, it has an ex-military hero. He is British, and I think one of the first lines is he's a British werebear in Banford, which he thinks is more akin to the title of a bad porn movie than anything else. But that comes out on December the 1st, and he was a laugh to write. I could go on and on about him. He's very much a broken man. He doesn't think he'd be anything other than a soldier, and he is very pleasantly surprised when he is sent in to check on his sister's his army buddy's little sister. Only then, of course, he's got the problem that if he does anything with said little sister, his mate's probably going to take his head off at the neck.
Oh.
So there's a lot of conflict in it, and it's got werebears and action and sex, of course.
Of course. I noticed that's up for pre-order at the moment, and it's sitting about the number 3,000 rank. How
it is at the moment, yes. We are. I am going to ramp up now in the next week. Some promotion for that. I will be releasing some exclusive excerpts in my newsletter as well, as part of the whole, promotional efforts. So there will be some lovely little chocolate bar scenes in there. If anybody fancies signing up to get hold of those.
Yes, do it.
Yes, do that thing now, and so they know where to find you. Why don't you tell us where they can find you online?
Right, website-wise, it's www.mina-carter.com. I would do the Facebook one, but it's just that long. All of my social media links are actually on my website. As well as the sign up and lots and lots and lots of little snippets on books. There's a lot of books on there to have a look at, so feel free to have a wander around. And any comments, questions, there's comment sections on the site. I'm more than happy to answer. Like I say, the answers might not always make sense, but I will answer.
I've actually just thought of one final question. What advice do you have to authors or to new romance authors who are a bit embarrassed about writing those sex scenes?
Oh, yes.
Get into a conversation with some erotica authors, because you will very, very quickly lose any blushes over any of the C words.
Oh my goodness.
It is usually a challenge or a little bit of a competition to see who can break the C barrier first.
Oh, wow.
So, other than that, it's just basically lock yourself away in somewhere that people can't see you, and you're just going to have to blush it out. That's what I did. I used to blush and think, oh my God, my grandmother, she would kill me if she knew what I wrote.
But
honestly, you do know. No, she doesn't.
My grandmother would be proud, because she was a woman who read a romance novel every night for as long as I knew her. So, yeah.
Yeah, my nana did that as well. She swears she slept through the sex scenes, but yeah, she had a Kindle, so I don't know whether I'd believe her or not.
I know I wouldn't believe my grandmother if she said she skipped them. It's like, no, nah, Grand. I know you better than that. All right.
Mine probably did. She
Yeah.
probably did.
2 minutes.
She wouldn't skip.
You never really know what your grandmothers do you, when you're not
No.
around? So.
Because you forget they were young girls too once.
Yep, and one day that'll be us.
Yes,
We'll be like
very true.
grandmothers, and we'll still be writing like sexy romances and what have you. Okay,
Yeah,
well, thank you
And
very
scaring our
much, Mina.
grandchildren.
Yeah, thank you very
You're
much.
more than
Mina,
welcome.
for
Thank you
coming
for
in.
asking me and putting up with me.
And
Oh,
thank you
not a
to
problem at all.
Sean for taking time out of work to join me at the very last minute, since Xavier
It was-
couldn't be here.
It was my pleasure, and I had so much fun. Thank you so much, Mina, and I get to tell the girls here, I'm Mina.
Oh, bless you.
Okay, thank you again. And for our listeners, we will actually be airing another podcast after this one. It'll hopefully be me and Xavier if he's, over his sickness. But I encourage you all to tune in because it'll be very interactive with the audience and it'll kick ass. Okay, thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.